set the...
You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards.
This will get Justin jacked up.
So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. Because believing that the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart, even when it leads you off the well-worn path. And that will make...
So let's start there, right?
That was perfect.
Sure.
Let's
Who's that?
I have no idea.
All right.
But that's the Unbroken video that we always play, and that I've listened to like 100 times. Technically, Chris is supposed to be hosting this podcast, so let's pretend like none of that happened. And go ahead, Chris, bring us in.
Jeez. Just so you know, this is an open forum. You know, we talk about success.
Yes.
We talk about relationships. We talk about recovery. We talk about a lot of different things, real life situations. You know, and tonight is definitely special for me. One, because I'm nervous as hell.
Why?
You know, I just...
Is it because I roast you?
That was rough, the last show, I'll give you that. But it was funny. It was
But
funny.
you're back in the captain's seat.
I am. Yeah.
This is actually, for those that
I'm
don't
actually
know,
offended he's in that seat and I'm over here. I don't know what the fuck's going on in this podcast.
Two shows I got punked
I'm
out.
gonna fire him after this show. I don't know who he thinks he is over there, but
Chris, when we first started this podcast, when we talked about it, me and Chris we're like, let's do a podcast together. And then we ended up shooting an episode. And it was with J-Mac. Shout out J-Mac. He did all this amazing graffiti in here.
Yep.
And we didn't release that episode because we had technical difficulties and all this shit. But J-Mac punked Chris for that seat. So Chris sat in the corner. And then the second episode, he couldn't make it. So Nicole sat in that seat. And then technically the next episode that we filmed with Michelle and everybody, Michelle sat in that seat and punked him.
She took it. She earned that seat, though.
So this is actually Chris's first episode. Like,
I feel great. I feel like I'm home.
Welcome home, Chris.
Yeah.
Welcome home.
I think tonight's going to be good because, like, not only are we going to talk about, like, I'm going to give you guys a quick intro, but I love the both of you guys because you guys gave me a shot when, you know, I didn't even give myself a shot. And you're two of the most successful guys that I know, not just in, you know, finances and everything like that, but you guys are two young, we're young entrepreneurs at one point.
Young,
you guys are
we're
old.
Young. We're not.
You know, talking about
Justin's
hair transplants. But, you know, just your come up is definitely inspirational. I remember sitting in meetings around here and hearing you guys speak and not knowing who you guys were. When I found out who you guys were, it was like, what?
who are we? What are you talking about?
So that's what I'm going to get to. First, I'm going to introduce my favorite, Christina Cola, aka Sissy.
In these streets.
Ex-roofer, went to professional dancer.
Yep.
Now owns construction company, right?
Yep. Doesn't make money.
Doesn't make money on that. You know, one of the owners of Process Recovery Center.
Don't make money there either.
Integrate Recovery. We got Rise Above. Everything. And then I got Justin to my left, entrepreneur. You were in the business world for a little bit. You put all that aside to open up Rise Above with Chris and a couple other with Nick too, right?
Yep.
Then you know, Process came along. Integrate. Now you're gonna have a book that's published coming out soon.
Coming, yep.
Couple different apps too.
The apps are coming, yep.
Huge.
He also makes no money off of those businesses.
That's
either.
correct. That's correct. Successful in my mind.
And that's where it's about mindset too. I think we talked about that last episode, but I really want to like jump into that. And you know, me, you know, coming up on 2 years clean, like it's been tough for me to like really like, you know, go to the edge of the cliff and like take that leap of faith and believe it in myself. And that's something I've kind of struggled with, and kind of putting like all my eggs not just in one basket, the safe bet, but like spreading it out, you know, evenly to different things. And I want to know, like, one, what is your definition of success? You know. Because speaking for myself, I judge success upon like money, cars, big house, you know, big wallet, everything like that. And kind of checking with you guys where that, Justin. Yes. Yep.
Are you being serious about that?
Yeah.
You are? Okay.
Yeah, dude, hit him with it.
So, I mean, I guess, you know, everybody's definition of success is different. There's a quote out of my little quote box that says, can you really define yourself as successful if you're home life is in shambles while you're making millions, or something to that effect. And I would say that everybody defines success differently. Personally, today, money is not my driving force. It used to be honest. And so I think being successful means being happy and content in like who you are, knowing who you love, what you love, and how to love. Those, for me, are signs of success. That's what I care about the most. I care about being able to be myself and love the people around me, be happy with what I'm doing with my life, be happy with the people I have in my life. And so to me, that's success today. I do. So if you do what you love, I would find that to be successful.
Yeah.
But if just because you make a lot of money, I'm not saying money isn't an avenue of success. I think, but I think it's a misteaching.
Did you always think that way though? I mean, like fresh out the gate, like you took that leap of faith, leaving, your comfortable job, making a salary, like do you think your mindset has definitely changed as the years have gone on and you've taken more risks?
Yes, but I think that I was taught by society incorrectly what success is, to be honest. I think as mankind, we're actually misteaching people. I think, go within or go without, know yourself or know nothing. To me, these are the things that are really important today. And we're driven in society by money, property, and prestige. Let's be honest. I mean, So, and I'm not saying money, I understand the drive to be successful and money and other stuff, but at the same note, you get the money and then what? And then, what do you think about this,
Tag
Chris?
man.
Yeah.
Well, just because my mind starts going, obviously, because I'm similar to what Justin was bringing up, that the philosophies of what success were to me back when I began this venture as opposed to what they are to me now. The monetary thing, I've proved against that theory to myself multiple times. I always break it down based on like what I call the stipulations upon your happiness. And I tell people that if your driving force in your life is an external thing, under the assumption that external thing is going to at some point bring happiness, it's a constant letdown. It's the stipulations upon your happiness. It's putting a destination and an arrival point on something that when you get to that place, you'll be okay. And for me, a lot of the time what I was doing was I was never okay internally, and I had never taken care of myself internally. I had a lot of stuff going on mentally. I had a lot of stuff going on deep within me. And like Justin said, go within or go without. And my thing was like I put an external solution on top of, in front of internal warfare that was happening. So I'd arrive at these destinations and under the assumption that everything was going to be okay. So when you get here, you'll finally be happy. Or when you get here, and it was like I always set a bar higher and higher for myself to accumulate more and more. And I always found myself and more like pain at these arrival points, right? Because the solution that I falsely assumed would be there wasn't. And even like over the last like 3 or 4 years, it's like your mind tells yourself like, if I make X amount of money, or if I do this and I do that, you'll be okay. But that's really not what success is to me no more, because money is like, yes, it's something that we all need. And I hate when people say money doesn't buy you happiness and all that shit, but it sure as fuck makes things a lot easier, right? Yep. But that can't be the only thing that you're in pursuit of. If money's a byproduct of you following path and purpose, and it's a byproduct of like you taking the proper risks and chances, like with people that you love, that you want to be with, doing things that you want to do, then that is a good thing. But when the driving force is just money, it comes with emptiness at the end of it, right?
Absolutely. I mean, like you said, money definitely. Like I grew up, like, you had to be married at a young age, have kids, have a house, have a career, 401k, that type of stuff. And my life hasn't ended up that way. But like, that was like, my mentality was like money is going to make me happy. But like you said, all I did was pour money into external things to make me happy inside. It wasn't. It's like the car thing. Like the car theory, my sponsor told me about. He's like, you're looking at a red BMW, you want the red BMW, you go buy the red BMW, you're driving off the lot, the black one gets off the truck, the brand new one, you're like, oh, that black one's nicer than this one. No matter what, I continuously tried to fucking find happiness with external things, and it's never worked out. But, you know, you guys have kind of hit the nail on the head with, you know, finding internal happiness and purpose. And I feel like I lucked out because, like, I've surrounded myself with people who've, like, helped guide me to, like, search inside myself for my version of happiness and my purpose. But, like, what would you suggest to people who, you know, not even just in recovery, but are just finally, like, starting to get, like, level-headed and, like, all right, I want to figure out what I want to do with my life, especially, like, around, like, 25 years old, like, or 30-year-old, like, who's been, you know, place to place, job to job, doesn't really have a purpose in life. What would you suggest to them in order to find their purpose and happiness?
I mean, it's ultimately you have to find what makes you feel alive, you know, like what gets your spirit uplifted. Think in terms of like and it's tough too because we're wired with the negative self-talk naturally, and like we're wired with that's why it's so important to like be a student to life. We always talk about this, to understand what goes on with us psychologically and to understand how the human mind works and how we behave in accordance to our mind, right? How powerful thought is, how like all these insecurities and fear stemming from trauma. We talk about healing before, Justin, and like, and how all this stuff plays a huge factor in like who we become as adults and what we're willing to risk. And a lot of people are okay with just like being comfortable with like not taking risks and stuff like that. But yeah, that leads people down these paths of like not being happy, truly fulfilled, not living in a life in accordance with like what their spirit wants or true path and purpose, and like allowing fear to drive their lives. And then you see people deteriorate with that. You see them internally deteriorate with that over time. I mean, for me, like, my 25-year-old version of myself, like I was 25 years old when I finally started taking risks, and it was because of people around me. That's why I always talk about the value in human to human connection, right? And like I value success as like being successful is like having people around you that you love and that love you as well, like unconditionally, right? And being on a journey with you, because when you're surrounded by people like that, success is inevitable. If you have people that are around you that believe in you and are willing to like breathe life into you when you can't breathe, or to fill your spirit when it's starting to diminish, or to feed hope into you when you're starting to feel hopeless, like that's the value in like my relationship with you, Justin, and you as well, Chris, even though something about your face, dude, it's just fucking, oh my God.
Change
dude.
it.
Could we blur him? I'm just kidding. I can't help it. I love you.
Keep it coming. I love it.
I love you. You're so nervous to host this podcast, and I fucking loved every second of it, dude. I loved watching you fucking boo 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 boo. But it's people, right? It's the people that can believe in you when you can't believe in yourself, or that they believe in you long enough until you do believe in yourself, right? And it's the collection of those type of people in your life that will continuously help to bring you back on that direction of like moving towards path and purpose. And like part of my identification of like what I wanted from my life came through like dialogue and discussions with other people around me, being inspired, constant inspiration. Think of all the stuff that we've done over the past 7 years, right? It's not like we had these ideas when we began. They were developed over the course of time, and new ideas will continue to develop. And like that to me is success, right? We talk about all these businesses that we have and none of them make money, but do you enjoy them?
I love them.
I love them too, man. And that's because the money is a byproduct and it comes in time. And if your focus is just fucking money out the gate, it will fail. Money creates like
stress. It creates it doesn't create abundance. Money creates stress is what it creates. And so if you're in a mindset of abundance, if you're in a mindset of already being in the success and believing in what you're doing, then you can live. The joy is in the journey.
Yes.
The joy is in the journey. Most people don't enjoy the journey because they're so stressed out trying to figure out exactly how the path's going to go. And the thing that you played earlier says, don't try to connect the dots. Napoleon Hill, big believer in faith. You have to have faith. You have to have unblinding faith. And faith in what? Faith in yourself.
Yeah.
Because you're the answer. You have everything within you. You just need to start to tune in and believe. So if you believe in your vision, if you can come up with path and purpose and have a vision of what you want to accomplish, maybe you never accomplish it. I think I'm going to be a billionaire with Ascend You. That's what I think.
Yeah.
So I literally experience feelings of being a billionaire like during periods of the day, because in my mind, that's what's happening. Will it ever happen? Who the fuck knows? Maybe not. You know what I mean? I deeply believe it's going to be honest. I hope that I can reference back to this podcast 10, 15, 20 years from now and say, you know, I saw it. And if you look at most successful people, they can see their future. They believe in what's going to happen. And as a result, they can stay the course. You don't need to connect the dots when you already know the end result. So if you can start to believe in the end result, if you can start to create a vision of who you are and what you want, how do you do this? It's a lot of work, to be honest. You got to be reading books. You got to be reading like positive, you know what I mean? Self-help books, and you got to be filling yourself with positive information on a regular basis every single day, I would argue. You know, and we're fortunate that we're in recovery. So recovery actually teaches you to like try to keep a positive mindset. Yeah. It's, you know, we go to meetings to hear a message of hope. Hope is positive expectation for your future. Mm-hmm. So that's literally what the fuck we're doing. Yep. We're literally there trying to keep ourselves in a positive frame of mind. But at the end of the day, what is Tony Robbins selling? What is Eric Thomas selling? What is Jordan Peterson selling? What is Napoleon Hill and Jack Canfield selling? Positive thinking. If you think positively and you can start to create, I mean, we're all creators, you know, and everybody's different. Like you were a creative dancer. We've created a program in helping people. It's like at the end of the day, everybody has creative ability. It's one of the God-given gifts we've been given while we're here. And when you can start to tap into your creative ability, you'll start to tap into your path and purpose. And you'll come to realize, holy shit, you know, life is my playground. And I am here to achieve things, but most people settle for less. They want to be comfortable. They want to be safe. And it's your parents and your friends and everybody teaching you this. No, don't take that risk. Stay with the comfortable job. Just get the job that's safe. It's like, fuck that.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
I like that.
Well, part of it, and this is exactly what it is, right? Because you have to, and Nico, you just talked about, shout out to my brother Nico. I got to get a Nico cam in.
Say hi, Nico.
Because he has a company, Rich Print Company. Is that how you say it?
Rich Print Shop.
Rich Print Shop.
Do you guys have an Instagram?
He was talking about the fear, like his fear of like launching and all that stuff and failure. But here's the thing, right? We've literally fucked up everything we've ever done. As far as business wise, we've fucked up, like not completely where we failed, but we've made a shit ton of mistakes, right? Have been in uncomfortable situations a ton, and within that is the lesson that's necessary in order for us to get to ultimately where we want to go, right? And that's the mindset that you have to have going into any venture, whether it's self exploration, whether it's like wanting to be a better person, like anything that is us making a decision to level up or to be better. It's ultimately going to come with uncomfortability, right? Anything we decide, you want to get in shape, what's it come with? Uncomfortability, right? Uncomfortability of like lifting weights. You want to be an entrepreneur? Well, guess what? It's fucking scary. It's scary, and it comes with failure. Failure is to be expected, and the failure isn't necessarily the end of it. The failure comes when like I think of many things that we did wrong throughout the business ventures that we could classify as failures, right? But what we did was we took the lesson and applied it moving forward. We're still fucking up now. Let's be honest. We're still fucking up now. But the thing is that it doesn't wave us off the course or path.
But I don't care, because we're helping. At the end of the day, if you know your path and purpose, then the outside circumstances will work themselves. I do deeply believe this.
And I deeply agree.
It sounds like just trusting in the universe, right?
Yeah, that's a piece of it, yes, for sure.
Positive affirmation, trusting in the universe.
Yeah, and it's also continuous action in spite of the circumstances, no matter how turbulent they become. Here's the thing. People will go so far, they'll get uncomfortable, and they'll be like, fuck this, I'm out of here, right? But it's like that picture that I always see on Instagram, the dude fucking with the little...
Digging the diamonds,
right? Digging the diamonds, and he's walking away because he's like, fuck this, it's getting too hard. And then there's the dude walking past him holding the hammer, about to take 2 swings, and he's going to have the diamonds, right? Yep. And like, that's a lot of people. It's like, I'm saying it's like a lot. I'm doing the Justin ultimately thing.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's bad.
That's my favorite quote.
But that's why I want to get into like the mindset, right? The power of our mind, because that's all triggered in our thinking, right? Our thinking. It's because we're wired, and you go on rants about this. It's like the protective nature. There's something inside of us subconsciously that wants to protect us from uncomfortability. It's just we're just wired like that as human beings, and it comes with a dialogue that speaks to us, which we call the inner observer. And it's that voice in our head that we've had since we were little, right? It's like, oh, that girl's pretty, I want to talk to her. And then what's the thing that comes into our head?
Don't talk to her.
Don't talk to her. Why?
Don't talk to her.
Because she'll reject you. Because you could get embarrassed. Because all your friends will laugh at you. Because it's like, what the fuck? And now you're just like,
All true stories.
And then you see that one guy with balls of steel walk up, talk to her, and then he's slow dancing with her at the dance, and you just fucking, god damn it.
Should have been me.
Yeah.
So you guys both, you guys finally took risks in your life at some point, right? I believe, like, what I want to kind of know about is when you decided to leave the comfortable job and the career and everything like that, and be like, you know what, I'm gonna put all my eggs in and start this business. And then Chris with dancing, because you had a union roofing job, right? And then one day you woke up and you're like, I want to be a dancer.
The best union roofer.
Yeah. So how'd you get to that point, and did you have support behind it?
I mean, I would say for me, recovery brought me to believing in myself. So I do have to start the path on deciding I wanted to get clean, and faith is required. I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't believe you're going to be able to stay clean, you're not going to. There has to be some belief. And obviously it's belief that you attain over time. It doesn't just instantly come, but it's something that's developed, and it's something that you put, the reason that people need to do so much work to stay clean is because it's a daily maintenance of like changing your mindset. Believing I can do this, believing I can do this, believing I can do this. And then before you know it, you have a year clean. And then before you know it, you have 2 years clean. And then before you know it, you have a house and a great job and all these things. But it's because fundamentally what recovery is feeding yourself positive thinking. And so, yeah, I made a decision at, 17 years into recovery to, cut away from a very comfortable job where I was making a lot of money and doing a lot, but it wasn't my passion. And I hadn't listened to my inner voice. I was actually still living in comfortability with some faith principles and some success principles, I would say, that I was taught. But at the same note, I was doing computers. I was a global IT manager, and I hate computers. I don't even like computers. I like the job. Yep. I worked for some very, very successful people, and I flew around the world. I sound real successful, don't I? I flew around the world in first class, and you know what I mean? It felt good. Like it felt good to feel like I was successful. But at the end of the day, I didn't love what I did. I actually hated it. It sucked. I don't like computers, And so what happened for me was I started to meditate. And shortly after I started to meditate, opportunities started to come because I started to listen. I believe this for myself. And so for me, meditation was the first step in listening to my intuition. Because your intuition doesn't come from left brain analytical society. My left brain tells me safety, you know what I mean? Do what's right. Intuition is that driving force of like, no, this is what I want to do. My family told me, you're crazy. Don't leave your amazing job that you worked 15 years at to get. You know what I mean? Don't leave that job. But I knew internally, no, I'm leaving this job because this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Wow. And I know that the apps is what, you know what I mean? I know that. So now I listen to myself, but it's a piece of myself that goes beyond my analytical mind. We live in a left brain society that teaches you safety and you know what I mean? Do everything this way and don't take risk but when you start to tap into your creative mind and your intuition and your spiritual self, Chris is about to jump in here, but that's what he did when he decided to do dance, and even though he didn't make any money with it, he was on television, you know, which is great.
Yeah.
So, and not for nothing. So back to the success thing, right? I used to go to the shows. The reason that Chris and I are in business is because I used to go to the kids' dance shows and I was so fucking moved. I used to literally tear up because here Chris and Nico and Trey are dedicating their lives to brightening children's spirits. So beautiful, so fucking important. And so one day, you know, he talks about, we had a conversation and I was just like, I 1,000,000% believe in what you're doing and who you are. And if there's ever an opportunity for me to invest in what you're doing, I'd love to do that. And there was no investment opportunity in the dance because there was no money there. so
How do $150 divided by 4? I think, what did my last tax return? I think I made $23,000 for the year that year.
that's serious.
Yeah.
So, but again, it's like you're changing kids' lives. I don't care. I literally am still inspired by you guys. The fact, Nico, that you're like, dude, printing some shirts. Come on, man. You're like changing kids' lives. I'm serious.
Yeah.
You're fucking amazing, dude. You really are. You, Trey, and Chris are all amazing. You blow me away with like your abilities to like touch kids' spirits. In my experience, those skills will go so far if you believe in them. So far. You're way beyond, you know what I mean? You bring that into anything that you do and you'll be ridiculously successful. That's my experience. And so, you know, for me, that's today I try to listen to myself. And so, and what that is for everybody is different.
Yeah.
Some people are here to be architects. Some people are here to plumb. Some people are here to, you know, at the end of the day, I have a sponsee. It's a graphic designer for Converse. And you know what I mean? And he travels the world doing that. And there's a piece of him telling him maybe there's something different now. As amazing as that is, you still got to listen to yourself. Yeah. Because there's always something else. God's always driving us. At the end of the day, when you die, like what you did is less important than who you were.
Yeah. I agree.
You know,
just because you have a job that's someone else's dream job doesn't mean it's your dream job. Like you said, if it's not your calling, like that's what I'm getting from it too.
Well, and it goes back to we live in a competitive society. Yeah. Let's be honest. Mm-hmm. It's a competitive society based on who makes the most money, who's the most famous. But that doesn't equate to success all the time. That doesn't equate to happiness. It's like you know, the person driving the Prius could be a lot more happy. That's not, dude. What?
It sounds good enough. You know what I mean?
Jeez. You know,
a lot happier. The person driving the Prius could be a lot happier.
Could be a lot happier. And he might not be.
A lot more happy.
It could be a lot more happy. I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, who knows?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You got to listen to yourself. Because one person's dream could be to drive a Prius and surf waves all around the world. And he could be the happiest guy in the world. And you could have another person that's making millions of dollars whose home life sucks and he's stressed out all the time with all the pressure that he has. And, you know, it's like, how do you equate success? And so for me, I want to, one of the things I like, but I don't believe in being against money either. Yeah. It's really what fulfills you. So Jack Canfield teaches the more money you make, the more people you can help.
Yeah.
And that is the truth. So if you have a passion to help people, don't just write off money.
Yeah.
Because guess how many people Bill Gates is helping with his billions of dollars?
No, for sure.
Millions of people.
Well, I mean, you talked about the transition, well, from when I was teaching and that whole like with the kids and having a passion for that, and then that's why it was an easy transition for me getting into this field with I'll always equate success for me is who can I help, right? And the most amount of people that I can help is how I equate success, and that's what fulfills me the most. Even when I made my first year making more than fucking 52,000, or I think I made $100,000 for the first time. I spent it on everybody. I was still broke at the end of the year. And my life literally didn't change because it was like my first time ever making any decent money. And even when the businesses got successful, it was like you get a raise, you get a raise, you get it. We never really reaped and I'm almost wired to a fault like that. Pretty much I'll blame my mother because she's wired to a fault like that. My mother's she's a foster parent. She's specialized home. She takes in. I've never not lived with a foster kid my whole life. She always had multiple foster kids in the house, and I've seen her just give herself away to people, and she was fulfilled off that. And I had a different upbringing. My mother always spoke to the good in me. She always instilled that belief in me. It wasn't until I started to hear other people say similar things, because your mother. I mean, my mother also told me I could sing, which was a lie.
She's a liar.
I didn't know she was lying until I was like 24, and my wife was like, "Oh God, stop singing." She had me convinced I was really good at a lot of shit I wasn't good at. So it made. But she never didn't instill that belief. She was always someone that was. But like, again, the human to human, it was when more people that I surrounded with myself with had that belief in me. And then I remember how profound of an effect that had on me, and just wanting to give that to other people, right? Like wanting to instill that belief, because what an impact that has, like how you can impact someone's whole like life just by a intimate conversation, telling them that you love them and you believe in them. Like, you impacted me. I remember where I was when we had that conversation, and we've had multiple conversations like that. And I remember I've had conversations with you like that, Chris. And as human beings, we require that. And there's nothing worse than when people just assume that you've got all this confidence and that you've got all this shit together, when really deep down inside, we're all suffering with that little bits of fear. We're all, as humans, requiring that little nudge. Like, I seek it out through like books and stuff like that, but when it's coming from someone that you respect, when it's coming from a friend, when it's just like it's so powerful. So that's what fulfills me the most, right? Helping addicts, like, and even beyond, like just helping people as a whole. Like, we do this now, right? And just like, I've taken it one step above. Obviously, the primary purpose of what we do is to help people get clean, stay clean, and then once they get clean and stay clean, like, I'm driving into them like, you can do whatever you want. Let's get that credit fixed. Let's fix your finances. Like, let's get you set up. You can buy a house. You can start a business. Like, the life's out there to live it. It's the development of a life worth living, which is the secondary part. It makes it harder for you to just say fuck it to whatever life you're living when you're actually on a path that is beginning to bring meaning into you. You can see people's spirit come alive. You see the light come into their eyes, and you see them like truly living. And then it's contagious where they start doing that with other people, and then it's that ripple effect, and it's so impactful, and I love it so much. And then what gets me going now is I'm thinking about like my next stuff, the next things that I want to do. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like not having a father. Like, I had my stepfather, and that was like huge for me. And then obviously me using drugs for a period of time, I didn't have that. And then he passed away when I was in my 20s. And then like the hole that filled, and like just having like a male figure. Like, I went through so many firsts in my life without anybody to go to, right? Terrified. And then I just think about like youth. Like, this is what my next calling is. You talk about intuition. Like, I'm driven. I call it, I always say God calls, I answer. I've always been in touch with that, right? I that's why people call me crazy, because I'm off the beaten path, and sometimes it comes at a cost financially or whatever. But if it's impactful, and if I'm helping people and stuff like that, I don't give a fuck. I just do it.
People will criticize you, though. When you take risk, be ready for criticism. Be ready for doubters to say to you, that's not going to work. That's dumb, waste of money. You can't make it happen now. You're never going to be able to make it. Just heard that in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Cool. Thanks.
And I don't give a fuck about that no more.
I mean, at the end of the day, though, people are programmed, don't take risk. And so when they see other people take risk, it's challenging their belief system. Because literally, as mankind, this is how we've been programmed. We've been programmed incorrectly, if you ask me. We are not taught to be successful. We are not taught to do whatever we want. We're taught to do what you're told, do what you're supposed to. Think about children and their parents. It's like when you have a kid, you love them unconditionally, right? You have no problems with them. But then as the kid gets older, they start to come up with what they want. And God forbid your kid, I know so many people who have fractured relationships with their children, and it's because all of a sudden their belief systems aren't aligned. And the kid wants to do this, and the parent wants the kid to be a doctor, and the kid wants to be whatever. You know what I mean? He might not want to be anything at the moment. But it doesn't matter. The second that he doesn't do exactly what you want them to do, all of a sudden you're in conflict with the people that you love the most in this world. All based on belief system. If our belief system was just based in full unconditional love and support, like we're talking about, then you'd never be a conflict. And I'm not saying there aren't parents out there that are like that, but I would say that societally, we have issues with each other based on what we think's best for other people, and not just encouraging people to follow your dreams, believe in what you want to do. Doesn't matter what it is, you know? We don't live in a society of that. We don't live in a society that nurtures like people taking risk, nurtures people doing whatever they love, but at the same note, we don't live in a society that cares about everyone. We live in a society of competition. Get yours, make the most money. You know, at the end of the day, that's a society that we live in. And it's unfortunate.
It's cutthroat, and I hate it. And that's why I always follow stuff that makes me feel good. Like the whole, like my next venture, I know it's going to have to do with like young adolescents that don't have fathers in their life that I want to like mentor. Like I want to get into mentorship. I want to like think about growing up. Like you obviously can identify, you know what I mean? Like there's like so many things that I wish that I knew at a younger age that could have like deeply affected like the direction of my life. You know what I mean? Questions that I had to learn in books. You know what I mean? I had to get answered through books and all this stuff that like I'm figuring out when I'm 30, that if I knew when I was 20, I would have set myself up a lot better for my 30s and stuff like that. And it's just like the human impact that you can have on another individual just by giving them time and investing in them.
Something you talked about changing someone's life, right? And this is just a small example, but, you know, working in recovery, I've seen, you know, guys, I run the PHP house, and I've woken guys up in the morning like I'm leaving as soon as the day ends, right? And it will just like happen to fall on like, you know, one of your groups, right? And you guys motivate them and you guys get them going, and they leave group. I go up to them, you still want to leave, and they say no. So I feel like that human interaction, like you can affect so many people and help change someone's fucking negative outlook on themselves, on their life, and you can really help guide them towards towards a proper path to find their own path. And I just want to say that because, you know, power of the mind, man. Because I remember when I was getting clean and everything like that, like the negative self-talk was huge, and it still is. And I don't know if you guys still suffer from the negative self-talk, but I've kind of learned to like shut it down. But you guys are talking about your success, right? And failures, or people just like negative, like throwing their negative comments your way. I mean, if anything, is that more of a motivation to like be like, fuck this, like I'm going to show you what's going to work?
If you get too consumed in that, then it becomes something different. Your motives, if they're based off of like negative emotion, it's not good, and it's easy to fall prey to that, right? It's easy to get that like, oh, I'll show you, or work off of anger. That's why I'm the king of like processing. Like I shut shit down. I don't want to act off emotion. I want to act off of logic, and I don't want to ever change who and what I am based off of someone else, right? Start acting outside of my character because someone upset me or made me mad, or is challenging me, or is in competition with me, or is hating on me, or whatever the fuck it is, because then that starts to make me feel gross, and I don't like that. I like to feel free, right? I just want to, and it's funny because I was just telling you, Justin, like your process of like letting go of a lot of like ego and stuff like that. Not ego like full of, like you're truly like you've been in a transition of just not giving a fuck. Like and I love it, you know what I mean? Like embracing some, like it's I call it the bee rabbit from 8 Mile philosophy, you know what I mean? When he just starts shitting on himself so the other dude can't shit on him, he's like, I already know, now what, motherfuckers? And it's like getting to that place, because we all you're fucking lying if you say you don't suffer from insecurity. I don't care how much work you do on yourself, but it's like, how do you deal with that? Do you let that inhibit you from like like doing podcasts, like doing anything that I hate putting myself out there.
Yeah.
I hate
do
it
too.
I never have. Like, I don't talk about, and I, like, you would always get on me about stuff to put myself out there more and to talk about certain things. And I just, it always comes with, for me, like, I don't want people to perceive me as arrogant or cocky or all this, or that I don't want them to judge me or make fun of my teeth or my hair or whatever it is. Like, I could come up with a million reasons, and finally get to that place. It's like, all right, I process it, and it's like, fuck it. You know what I mean? I can't control people's perception of me. And watching you go through your process of just like going from caring the most to literally caring the least out of anybody I know, and being so defensive to just like rolling with the punches. And I've watched this happen over the course of like 2.5 years, and it's been beautiful to watch, and it's actually inspired me. And that's ultimately why I want to do a podcast. And like, I want to, like, all right, so even if we only get out there to 100 people, I don't give a fuck. Like, it's not about the grand scheme of things. It's about like, the next Chris, the next Justin, the next whomever that's struggling in a process of like just like inner turmoil, that wants to take a risk, or that's like fucking just like dying inside because fear is controlling their life, and it's based off of insecurity or perception, or maybe they still require outside validation from whomever, their family or whatever, that drives them, and not being able to like validate themselves and push themselves into actually finding what makes them happy. Yeah. Like, I want to do this for them, like, to understand that you're not locked into whatever your current circumstances are, that there's always an escape route from whatever it is, but it comes with like action, it comes with like uncomfortability, and it comes with like turbulence, and it comes with being scared. But it's like, even in the Bible, and I'm not going to get biblical, but because my man Jordan Peterson talks about it, and shout out Jordan Peterson, but he talks about every story in the Bible is a call to action from God, and it comes with uncomfortabilities, and the end of the story is always something profound, and it's beautiful that happens. But the process of how they go from when God calls to them to when they get to the end point, the middle of that story is turbulence, and it's pain, and it's suffering, and it's all this shit, and it's blind faith. Right? We walk by faith, not by sight. And it comes with like having to step outside of your comfort zone. But at the end of that is a transcendence of a shedding of their old skin into the new skin that they're wearing. And it ultimately comes with like freedom and happiness. Right. Mm-hmm. And that's what, when you really get into it, that's what the pursuit of finding meaning and path and purpose in life is all about. Not being afraid to walk through the uncomfortabilities. It's so much easier to just lay in bed and become victim to your circumstances and just be like, it is what it is. But at least
life's
it's
a
safe.
Struggle. It's tough. It's so hard. It's like it is that hard if you make it that hard at the end of the day. And I'm not saying life isn't a struggle. I came from a struggle, but at the end of the day, if you're in a struggle, it's because life is trying to teach you something.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to like look at that, and you're willing to change and grow from that, then all of a sudden life always has meaning. No matter what's happening to you, no matter whether you're in your darkest day, you're probably learning the most valuable lessons about yourself. But if you deny that, in my experience, you will repeat the lesson. Mm-hmm. The lesson will just continue to come up and come up and come up, and you'll just be stuck right where you are.
What we resist persists.
Exactly. And so when life becomes your playground and you decide, I don't care what happens in my life, it's going to define meaning and purpose, and I'm going to interpret life. Like for me, the pandemic right now, I said it right, didn't I?
You did.
You killed it.
You didn't say pandemic.
Pandemic. The pandemic right now is a great example for me of the world changing for the better. I deeply believe the world's changing for the better right now. There's a lot of people living in fear. I'm not having it. Mm-hmm. I see nothing but opportunity for mankind to change for the better as a result of what's happening. There are a lot of people focusing on globally as a whole, people being okay. Yeah. 9 million people die of starvation on this planet every single year. And you know what? We ignore it. We don't care. We don't care because we're so self-centered in competition and getting ours. But guess what? This pandemic has actually made us widen our lens to care about not just us, but others. All, you know what I mean? We're looking at the whole of America. We're looking at the whole, and most countries are looking at this. But I deeply believe what's coming in the next 10 years is us broadening our view, us evolving as mankind into a broader view of what is really important. Is us taking care of each other more important? Are we going to have a spirit, can we get somebody who like leads the country or leads the world in trying to end world hunger? Please?
Yeah.
Because we've had 150,000 people die of COVID, and I'm not saying that's not important. I have empathy and compassion for every single person, but I do believe there's a purpose in what's happening right now because I believe the world is evolving to be a better place. I deeply believe this. And so as a result, for me, I'm not living in fear. I'm actually living in faith. And I've had people argue with me about this a little bit and say, well, I don't believe that. You know what I mean? I've been, I don't think things are going to get better. I think they're going to get worse. And, mankind's going to destroy itself. I had this conversation with somebody. And I said, well, if that's the case, I'd rather be in my shoes than yours.
Yeah.
Because if it does end, it's going to end with me believing it's getting better. Till the day it ends, I'm believing I'm dead serious. I'm not going down.
Right as you die. This is the best.
Well, think about Jesus.
Yeah,
Think about
for
Jesus.
sure.
At the end of the day, he died believing in the world getting better. That's what he sacrificed his life for.
Yeah.
And I'm not even,
Yeah,
it's
no,
like,
for sure.
so isn't that what we're here for? Isn't that what we're here for? To be a presence of like love and care. For me, that's what I'm here for.
That's what we're supposed to be here for, though. And I want you to keep going with that. But ultimately, when we boil it all down, to get back to the most simplest philosophy of just love each other, just empower each other, the power of that and how we forget about it, how life so easily becomes a competition. It becomes the grass is greener syndrome. It becomes like, look at what they're doing, how they're doing it, or what's he got, what she got. It's when you can get to a place where you start to let go of that stuff. And I've been shedding that shit for a long time, and it's not easy, right? Because it's all thrown in our face via social media, via this, via that. And it's just an ugly, dark place to live in. But when you can get to a place where it's just about loving each other, right? Where your success makes me happy and my success makes you happy, and you're genuinely happy for people, and you're genuinely proud of people, and you genuinely want people to succeed. You sent me something the other day that it was like talking about like no man left behind.
Yep.
You know what I mean? If you've got it, they've got it. Take care of the people. Take care of people. No one should go without. And like that is my philosophy.
Yeah.
Right? Like that. And as long as that remains my philosophy, when we circle back around to like that's me being successful. That's the right mindset for me because I'm happy within that mindset. It's when I step out of that mindset and I start thinking about how much money I have. Yeah. How much can I make? How much are you making? How much if That's the bullshit mindset, right? Yeah. That's the stuff that makes me feel yucky. Yeah. When I'm worried about like what this business is doing, how they're doing it. When I'm just focused on who can I help today, how can I help, or who's going to help me, because I still require help. My life is fulfilled, and I feel good. Yeah. I feel good.
Well, so it's staying in your path and purpose. If you can keep in your path and purpose, if your path and purpose is helping somebody, or whatever your path and purpose is, you have to decide. It's your question. It's your question to your life. But what are you here for? What are you supposed to be doing? And for everybody, it's different. It's not for everybody. It's not like some guy's here to like build skyscrapers. That's how he's contributing to helping people, and he is helping a ton of people who work in that building. Yeah, you know. So, but it's his passion. He has energy behind that. He shows up every day, and like building a taller skyscraper excites him. It gives him energy. And so for me, that's what it is. That's like what you need to be looking for. And when you do that, abundance will come in whatever form you're looking, because different people are looking for different, everybody loves to just focus on money, but there's abundance in all kinds of areas. Yeah. You know what I mean? You could have abundance with money, but maybe money's not your thing. So you could have abundance in love. You can have abundance in whatever you want. At the end of the day, God wants you to live in abundance. The universe wants you to live in abundance, but we teach lack, not enough. There's not enough. Competition, get yours, But I do want to read something, because you were talking about the Bible, and let's talk about the law of attraction here for 2 seconds. Let's go. Most people think the law of attraction is like this wishy-washy, honky thing. You know what I mean? It goes against religion and all this other stuff. So law of attraction, think, believe, receive. That's the basis of it. Okay, watch the movie The Secret or listen to Jack Canfield. But let me just read you something out of the Bible. The law of attraction, actually, out of the Bible. Whatever things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe ye receive them, and ye shall have them. Mark 11:24.
Yeah.
It's the law of attraction in the Bible, just to be clear. Straight out of the Bible, the law of attraction. Whatever you desire, pray and believe you're going to receive it. Number 2 is where most people fail. They don't believe. They desire things, but then they don't believe they can actually get them.
Yep.
And you shall have them. So the naysayers are the ones that say, yeah, I want this, but
It's never going to happen.
it's
because
never
of
going to
X, Y,
happen.
Z.
And you feed yourself all these negative reasons why something can't happen. You don't believe that it can happen. But again, it's like that's where people are failing. That's where you have to surround yourself with people that believe in you. That's where you have to start feeding yourself success books. Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
Think and Grow
Hill.
Rich, Napoleon Hill. So even conceptually, he's talking about making money. That is part of it. He helped Franklin D. Roosevelt get through he was an advisor to the Great Depression and all these other things. Amazing man. But Think and Grow Rich, that can be taken differently too. Think what you want and you'll start to grow rich. Most people don't even concretely think about what they want. We're like living in a mindless society today where that's never going to happen. Oh, that can't happen. This can't happen. It's like, yes, it can.
But break down and let's talk about why people get stuck. And this is my belief system, and I'll let you jump in. But it's people get so fixated on the how.
100%.
They get so fixated on the how, and if you get fixated on the how, you'll never get past the first. You'll never even open up the door to take a peek. It's identification of the what.
Yep.
It's getting fixated on the what. Even to this current moment right now, I could have never told you how I was going to get from when I was in the Roofers Union to this current moment. Logically, it was impossible for me to conceptualize how that would fucking take place. Like, even if you think about it, how am I going to transition at 25 years old from the Roofers Union to become a dancer? Because that's what I wanted to do. Then once becoming a dancer, I wanted to become a successful one. I wasn't even that good. My brothers were better. But then getting on TV, America's Best Dance Crew, and then wanting to open up my own dancing school. And then from the dancing school, hearing the people talk about in the waiting room how the methadone clinic was going to open up and they didn't want those junkies in the neighborhood and all that shit. From me having a new purpose, God calls, I answer, feeling inside like I wanted to do something within the recovery field, to calling you, Justin. Now I had no money. I had no nothing. I had an idea of something that I wanted to do. Didn't focus on the how. I convinced the dude to evict a drug-infested apartment that was a crack shack in Lynn to get rid of his fucked up tenants that he had, to let me create a sober house. I partnered with you. You had a credit card, and from there, so we didn't own a house. We didn't have like a lot of money. We had your credit card, some ideas, which eventually led us from one apartment to the whole building to 2 houses, to then end up in New Hampshire after we didn't want to come to New Hampshire because we met Amy through JMac, which brought us to New Hampshire, which then went from 3 houses to 5 houses to 7 houses to Nick getting involved and us doing treatment. One treatment center turning into a resource center, turning into 2 treatment centers, turning into a barber shop. How do I conceptualize that? How do I even identify the how of that? It was the identification of the what, and just moving forward and allowing the process of that to take place. We've never known how we were going to do anything.
No, I agree. You can't, I 100% agree with you in that you can't get stuck in the how. If you get stuck in the how is this going to happen, you've failed.
You're going to give up.
That's your problem. You're stuck in your left brain. You're not in the spiritual side. You're not in the intuition side, the whatever you want to call it. I think it's your spiritual self, the piece of you that's connected to the universe that will help all things happen. That's where faith's involved, believing that, your idea, reading energy, continuing to put one foot in front of the other. I agree with you. I had the same process. My first job in 22 years ago was at Annie Ann's Pretzel Shop.
Shout out Auntie Anne's.
Auntie Anne's, great pretzels.
Great pretzels.
Great pretzels. But normally that's not where you start, you know, a great business career.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe,
Yeah.
you know? That's
It is
normally,
now.
Yeah,
It
it
is
is now.
now.
But normally
Yeah.
you don't get your MBA at Auntie Anne's pretzel shop. You know, normally that's not where you're going to get your business schooling. But that's where I started, you
Yeah.
know? And then I went to ITT Tech again, not a famous school for business entrepreneurship, but it was a step, you know? And then I did computers for a long time and just did the right thing and put one foot in front of the other. And then, you know, the opportunities came with you. And now my belief is just, I just wholeheartedly believe in myself to the point where I've pulled every penny I've ever made in my retirement out recently. Terrible time to take your retirement out. And I'm all in. I'm all in. But success books teach you this. You got to go all in. And I have. I'm all in. And I am so okay with that. And I
Well,
could
answer me
care
this.
less
If
I fail, because I
Thank you.
believe so much in the purpose of what I'm trying to do.
All right, but even with that mindset, if you fail, let's say by some chance it didn't work, and then what? You're done. You go back to that's it, or do you continue trying?
No, I continue. It's
never
impossible for
stop.
me to fail. I'm not failing. It's not happening.
Because the idea of failure, it's different. I know it's different with you because it's different with me. We don't perceive failure the same as other. Failure to me is just a bump in the road. It's an opportunity to learn what I didn't know, to take the most, which is the most valuable information, to take that moving forward so that I can succeed in whatever I'm in the pursuit of, right? And that ultimately, like, and I say this to, like, when I talk to Nick and stuff like that, we talk about how that is our college education, right? That's when we're paying for school. It's those moments where you do lose money in business, right? Or you do fuck up down the road. Like, that's the same as going to school, because as long as you take that information and you don't look at it like as a victim, like, oh, look, the sky is falling. You're like, all right, well, I needed to know that, and now I know what to do with that. And you apply it moving forward. It's our paying our college tuition, right?
When I scour my life, to be honest, I don't see many people failing. I really don't, to be honest. You know what I mean? I see, like, I know a bunch of guys who have taken risks and been successful. And I'm not saying you can't fail. I think that you can. But at the same note, I do believe, you know, I haven't had a lot of failures. I hate to say that, but I'm being honest. Like most of the risks that I've taken have paid off. And I've had roadblocks, but roadblocks aren't failures. Roadblocks are, okay, here's a roadblock. But if you already believe in the destination, then the roadblock is just something you're going to go through. Do you know what I mean? So once you know factually this is happening, then a roadblock isn't a barrier. It's just another thing to overcome to get where you're going. It's just that simple. Failure's not an option for me. I am not failing. I don't like, it's just, that's the mindset I have today, and it's not going to change. And so does that mean that I couldn't fail? No, it doesn't mean that I couldn't fail, but if I failed, it was for a reason to succeed. I do believe that. And so and maybe I've just been fortunate. I don't know, but I personally, I don't see people taking enough risk. I think that we need to, you know, you spent $12,000 on a machine over there, you know? So that was a risk. You took a risk. You spent $12,000. I believe that you did that because there was intuition in you of, like, there was something in you that told you to do that. Since there was something in you that told you to do that, success is waiting on the other side. It's just that simple. I don't know many people who, like, are driven to take risks unless they believe in what they're doing. And so if you're driven to take a risk, take it.
Yeah.
Because it's the universe telling you, it's your intuition telling you, it's God telling you, it's source, it's whatever you want to call it. I don't care, you know, but listen to it. Don't listen to all the reasons why you can't do something, because we live in a society that's very left brain. And what I mean by left brain is the analytical mind wants to know every step of the way to get there. That's how we're taught. That's how we teach it in society. 1 + 1 = 2. Well, I hate to tell you, 1 + 1 doesn't always equal 2. You can't always figure out every step to your solution. Quantum at this point, quantum science is teaching you that there's a million possibilities that could arise. That there's not outcomes are not always predictable. This is what new science is telling us, just to be clear. So we're living by belief systems of old science where we have to know everything. And I'm not saying that it's not that you shouldn't be calculated in what you're doing. But what I'm saying is that like the power of your mind and the power of belief and the power is just as strong as knowing, exactly how you're going to get there. Because think about how GPS works today. Think about this for a second. You have no idea where you're going, but it gives you directions one by one. It's dark out. You have your lights on. You have no idea where you're going, but you have faith that you're going to get there. And as a result of having faith that you're going to get there, listening to GPS. So what I'm telling you is listen to your GPS.
Yeah.
Listen to your GPS. Don't live in fear, because everybody's experienced this. You're listening to GPS and then it's going a way that you don't know. And there's a piece of you that's like, oh no, let's not go this way. Fucking go that way. Just listen to yourself and follow the darkness. And guess what? The light in the darkness is fucking you, just to let you know. Hello.
Yeah.
We are the light in the darkness. We're so fucking scared to take the step into the darkness. And the second that you do, you start to realize your capabilities. You start to realize the power that you actually have, that every human being on this earth has been instilled with, just to be clear. Spiritually, we are all equal. We have all come in with the same power. We're just not taught to use it. Mm-hmm. And what we're talking about here is spiritual power. We started talking about power of the mind, but I can't deny truth, okay? It's spiritual power. It is. And when I say spiritual, however you want to define it. Yeah. The force. Dude, you watch a million different movies and they'll all give you a different interpretation of it, but they're all teaching you lessons. It's all the same, And it's a message that people start to need to tune into because it's not taught correctly in society. It's just not. And we have too many people who are living in lack because they're thinking that way. And I'm not saying travesty doesn't happen in this world, because I think that it does. But again, it's our responsibility to fix that. Because I don't want to pretend like I can't do more, because I can. And I feel like as a society, we need to kind of step up to the plate, do more, be more, solve some world problems that we have as a world, not just as a nation, that we're the best, USA. It's like, at the end of the day, there is human suffering going on in this world, and we can solve it together. But we can't just be every day worried about, how am I going to get mine? Yeah. Which I'm guilty of too, because I've been taught it. Wake up, worry about my own problems. What do I got to do today? But that's why for me, meditation centers me. Meditation centers me in okay, what's my purpose? And then I get in touch with, okay, it's helping people. And then once it's helping people, my mind starts to open up to different ways that I can help more people. And so when I first got clean, I might have had one sponsee. Now what we're talking about is helping hundreds, thousands of people over the last 5 years. That is what it's become. And it's going to expand from there. I do believe this with continued work. It's like the power expands. So, but it's got to start somewhere. I agree. So you start somewhere, which is believing and doing one thing. And then once you accomplish that, you're like, oh man, I could do that. Now, what's the next step? What's the next step? And what the next step is our drive. It's what we're doing here. Mm-hmm. What's the purpose? Is your purpose just to, watch a million episodes on fucking Netflix? I mean, sometimes maybe. You know what I mean? But if you think about it, our society isn't really pushing us to be mindful. It's pushing us to be mindless. Start watching the cabal shit and all this other stuff. But it's we live in a society that isn't geared towards igniting our mind and belief, and we can do whatever we want, I would say, personally.
Yeah, I feel like our society gets into a routine, and I've done it a million times. I still do sometimes. You get the 9-to-5 job, you do that, you go home to the family, and you repeat and repeat. And taking that leap of faith, I feel like it's difficult for me and even some people that I know, but I also surround myself with, people who've taken a leap of faith in opening their own barbershop, like Craig and stuff like that. So I feed off that, because me in my head, it's you need to back up. You're never going to be successful. Don't go out with that girl. Don't go out for that job. You're never going to get that job. And it's it's taken a lot of time for me to be able to tune that negative self-talk out and really find, like you kind of talked about, like searching inside yourself for that purpose, whatever that purpose is, whether you want to do skyscrapers, work in recovery, or be a dancer like Chris, whatever your purpose is. But when I found what my purpose is, which I'm still kind of figuring that out, but I know I definitely want to help people because I get not just enjoyment out of it, but I feel like I've had a spiritual void, if we're going to talk about spiritual void my whole entire life, and it helps me fill that, because I'm not just looking out for me. I'm not just looking out for my bank account. I'm trying to help out other people. But, you guys talked about your success and everything like that, but you talked about like maybe not failures, but road bumps. But what I've heard from you guys is taking something positive out of it. No matter what negative situation happens, you guys take something out of it and you learn something from it. And I think that's huge because a lot of people will take that say if it's a failure or a bump in the road and be like, all right, I'm done. I'm going to go back to what's comfortable for me. But what I learned, when I first started coming around, it's okay to be uncomfortable. And we talked about like being uncomfortable with like, how we look and stuff like that. And like, I'm going to be honest, I'm on Snapchat. Chris was actually busting my balls about it. He's like, I don't know anyone over the age of 10 years old that has a Snapchat. But when I take a selfie, I take at least 15 of them, and I post the best one because I'm still insecure, and it's like a daily thing, and it's tough for me to like the person I'm staring at.
It comes in time. Everything's in time.
I agree. It's weird that you said that because I was gonna say time's part of this equation.
We can't just declare I'm going to be secure now, or I'm no longer going to be whatever the fuck. It comes with a lot of uncomfortability, and repetition is the mother of all skill, which is putting yourself out there trying to care less. We try to care less by self-exposure, by just taking a picture, and the first picture you get, you fucking post it or whatever it is. But can I pause for a second to bang? We had to take a timeout, a tinkle timeout. I had to pee. So we touched on a lot of stuff. This actually was like more of I didn't shit on Chris a lot. I didn't shit on Justin a lot. I've just been kind of like taking in a lot of. I found myself like really listening to you, listening with the intent to hear and not to respond, which is good, because always go into every conversation under the assumption you may learn something, and to remain teachable, which is huge, right? Because I don't know all things. You don't know all things. None of us do.
Yep.
And to constantly be in that mindset where we're willing to learn and even willing to change our minds, right? Not getting so locked in on a current mindset or belief system, because that's, I think, what gets us stuck. When we get locked into a belief system, like it's definitive, like it's just and I always touch on it. It becomes a narrative that we live by, we live true to, and which blocks us into attaining further or beyond where what our current situation is. And that's why I love, like, even that Unbroken episode on YouTube that we played in the beginning. There's a lot of that stuff, and it's more talks about like trusting in your intuition, and you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking back, and like to just move forward and to not live in a deal. The only thing I know for sure is that I don't know shit.
Yeah.
And when I stay in that mindset, like obviously I know some things, but I don't know anything for sure or absolute. So I don't trust always on logic of like my knowing. I trust on my feeling, right? And there's a lot of times where logically speaking, something isn't a great idea, but I feel it. And that it's the most that happens with people, right? With taking risks on with people, like bringing people into my life, and especially like with what we do, like my poor wife, I bring home more fucking felons in my house and addicts than she's probably ever seen in a lifetime. You know what I mean? And
shout out Sam.
Yeah, shout out Sam. And even like her father, we just did a deck at his house, and he was like, just tell me how much he loved the guys that did the deck. And I was like, dude, you had 3 crackheads and a heroin addict that built that deck. They're all in recovery. And he was laughing and stuff like that. But I mean, that's the thing. And that's like part of this podcast too. The perception, to shatter the perception of like what people perceive addicts as. And this isn't just a recovery podcast, because you can get help you can be in a process of help and healing and dealing through whatever the fuck you're going through. We just happen to be united through the fact that we've all come from fucked up circumstances that started with addiction, that led us into a process of self-exploration and evolution. But anybody can go down that path. It doesn't matter what your trauma or what your struggles were or what's inhibiting you from moving forward or taking that next step. Like my brother isn't an addict, but he's riddled with fear and what he's going to do business wise and stuff like that. And it's all similar to the ways that we suffer, right? It stems in our thinking and our thoughts and not trusting in, not getting tuned inward to what our GPS is telling us, because the blockage is the thoughts, and the thoughts that are instilled in our mind is sometimes inflicted through our surroundings. Sometimes it's inflicted through family. Sometimes it's inflicted through shitty friends that they're negative and they don't believe in anything. Or sometimes it's inflicted through what we're watching or whatever it is. And to understand that that's happening is what's important, and that it can be changed, right? And so what do we feed into the cycle of thought? Like I have that wall there with all these different people that inspire me. Like Eric Thomas is up there. We got Napoleon Hill, Dale Carnegie. We got Eckhart Tolle.
It's Andrew Carnegie, but
Andrew Carnegie. Either way, you didn't even know who he was. I pointed to the picture. You didn't even know who he was. David Coggins, Joe Rogan, Jack Canfield, Jimmy K, Dr. Bob, Bill Wilson. So many people that have inspired me in my life that I seek out this inspiration. TD Jakes, Pastor TD Jakes. With Amazing. New levels comes new devils. He's the one who talks about our life progresses faster than our mind, and that we have to catch ourselves up to that. And there's so many things that we can, as humans, seek out that is available and accessible to us, just like the negativity is available and accessible to us. Like if we can seek out and find whatever it is that we wish to tune into, right? So we have to choose, like, what do we surround ourselves with? What is the information that we're feeding ourselves? I know where your inspiration comes from, and I know how much you seek out that inspiration. I also know what you look like when you're not seeking out that inspiration. I know what I look like when I'm not seeking out that inspiration. And there's a difference, and it's an ongoing process that there is no graduating. There is no like, oh, I've filled up enough, I'm good from here. It's like, that's ego, right? That's you're no longer teachable. You know for sure now. You know, you've got all the information, and it's like, no, as long as we understand that we're always going to be a student to life, and that the more we seek out to understand, the more we'll find fulfillment, right? We talk about success. That's what we started this podcast off from. And like, for me, honestly, like, the success is a mindset, and it's a continuing working on that mindset to be open-minded, right? To let go of ego. I mean, on episode 1, we talked about that with Slane, talking about like getting over the ego concept of the ego prison, right? Yeah. That where we lock ourselves into as a society, like just getting so locked into perception, requiring validation, outside validation. What you think of me is more important than what I think of me, and what you could possibly think if I do this, or if I move this way, or if I say this out loud, inhibits me from being my true self. And how do we get to that point where we are our true self? And think about how many people go through society doing the dance, not being their true self to make other people more comfortable. And I think success is the more in tune you are with your true self, and the more you're willing to allow yourself to be seen, the more successful you are. And when you're in pursuit of that in business and relationships and friendships, and that's what you have, that is success. Because you can have all the money in the world, and you can have all the external, right, all the material stuff. But if you're not truly who you are, or who you want to be on the inside, if you have to show up every day and do a dance, if you have to act a certain way to your wife, if you have to act a certain way at your job, if you have to act a certain way with your friends, that's not who and what you are truly and internally, that's not a happy life, right? That's miserable. And that comes at a cost, a spiritual cost. Yeah. And I find success to be that freedom, right? Being in pursuit of that freedom, to be in pursuit of like living to be your fullest self, transparent with who you are, And the more transparent you are, the more like-minded people you'll attract. The initial walking through the fear, allowing yourself to be seen, you taking off your hat when I was shooting the video to be like, fuck it, I'm going bald. And like the fact that we used to be so embarrassed.
I was actually trying to show you my hair. I got a hair transplant. I don't know why you're saying it was.
I was the originator of the hair transplant, but I remember how embarrassed dude, I spray the black shit in my fucking hairline to fill it in, dude. I used to care so much what people thought. And at this point, like, the more you get and embrace those parts of yourself that bring you so much fear, the more freedom that you feel.
And I would agree with you. I would say, you know, you talked about in the last 2 years what's happened to me. And in the last 2 years, I did everything on the outside to try to make myself happy. And, you know, the marriage is going to make me happy. The kids, the house, the cars, all that stuff. I did it for 20 years in recovery. And I got to the place where I couldn't lie to myself any longer. Mm-hmm. And so I started listening to myself. And the thing that I've done in the last 2 years is I've embraced my inner self, and I've started to heal. I've started to heal some things that I've hated about myself since I was a kid. And the reason, you know, I was taught wrong. And I feel like a lot of people were. You know, we're children and we misperceive things that happen in our life. And it creates these, when you talk about ego, for me, everybody paints ego as a bad thing. And the truth is the ego's there to keep you safe. And so we develop these masks and these belief systems that keep us safe. And we put on masks and we develop these, this is how I am. I'm a Christian, or I'm this, or I'm that. You know what I mean? I'm a Narcotics Anonymous member. And we become these things to keep us safe. And then it makes us feel validated. But the truth is that's not who you are. Who you are as a person. And I had to go back for myself. So I've been in a healing process of embracing the broken kid that never healed. And at 40 years old, I'm working on loving my, like when I say inner self, it sounds kind of weird, you know what I mean? It's like, what are you talking about, dude? But what I'm talking about is like the kid that got adopted at 10 years old that's never felt freely like being himself since. You know what I mean? Like when I was a true young kid, I mean, I had a lot of trauma and foster care and all this other stuff. But at one point, I was just a free, loving, caring kid. And then some things happened to me and life got dark. And I just learned, don't shine your light, kid. You know what I mean? You get attacked for that. Don't shine your light. And for the last 30 years, I would say, because I specifically remember a circumstance. When I was 10 years old, I got adopted. And I never remember being able to shine my light since then. Every classroom I walked into, everywhere I went, every room I've walked into, I've always felt insecure. It's always been harder for me to say, hey, how you doing, than just sit there and be quiet. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because for me, like opening myself up to people. So if I get to know people, people like me, like, oh, he's a nice guy. But people that didn't know me are like, what the fuck's wrong with that guy, fucking dickhead? You know what I mean? But it's fear. It's because I'm greeting people with fear because I'm scared. So people are feeling the negative energy coming off of me because fear is negative energy. But the truth is that it's because I'm scared. It's not because I'm a dickhead, even though it comes off like I'm a dickhead. You know what I mean? It's actually that I'm scared. And so for the last 2 years, I've been just trying to like heal, meaning I'm like looking at pictures of myself on mind movies. When we talk about these spiritual teachers, they're going to ask you to do stuff that's like kind of like, what? You know what I mean? But dude, I have a mind movie of pictures of me when I was like 6 years old and 8 years old, and I got red hair and I got freckles, and I've always hated that about myself. Always. I actually dye my hair now, just to be clear. Because for two reasons. One, I prefer not to have the red tone in there at all because I don't like it. So I haven't fully embraced myself at this point. Let's just call it what it is. But for another reason, since I had the hair transplant, the darker it is, the more filled in it looks. So I had a hair transplant. So if you dye it a little darker, it looks badass. It looks good. looks good. So, but
the first time I met you, though, I was like, I don't think this guy likes me. It was just how you came off. But I remember the first time we had like a real conversation. We're going up to
I actually
see a
don't
facility.
like you, but
So
you were right.
That makes two of us. Jesus, how the fuck did he get in this room?
It's your face. But I remember the first time though, you actually opened up and had a conversation with me. We had a 2-hour-long car ride, and I'm like, completely changed who I thought you were. I thought you were just like, you didn't want to talk to me, nothing, which might have been true.
I've been Justin's attorney.
That car ride was like 2 months ago. What the fuck?
That was, yeah, it was.
I've been your attorney forever, Justin. Like I've been like your like human interaction attorney. Like the people that know you and love you now, but the people that first would meet you be like, what the does he
What's
hate
his
me?
problem?
Yeah. What's his problem?
And I'm like, you don't understand. He's hilarious. If you get to know him, he has resting bitch face, like all this shit that I have to explain. But you're explaining it now, where that comes from.
It's a defense mechanism. It was just a defense mechanism. I practiced my whole fucking life. So I'm 40 years old now, and I'm just embracing trying to freely be myself. So I would 100% agree with you, Chris, that that's a sign of success. And I know a lot of people who are very successful, and it's a characteristic that they carry, actually. They carry freely being able to be themselves, because the second that you're able to start shining your light, success starts to happen.
Yeah.
It's like you just become vibrant. You start to vibrate on a different frequency. And so I would encourage people to try to be the best version. And when I say be yourself, it doesn't mean be fucking cool, or it doesn't mean, you know what I mean? It means like, it's hard to explain, but it's like, try to like fucking just be yourself, be your authentic self.
Yeah. Like I love Harry Potter. And when I made everybody at the office dress up like Harry Potter, it was the best day of my
Yeah, dude.
No, and there's
I love kids movies, dude. I fucking cry at every fucking kids movie. Frozen, dude. They all have deep spiritual meaning.
You cry over anything that
dude.
moves
I
you.
fucking cry.
Yeah.
I'm a crier.
No, for sure.
And I embrace it, dude.
No, I love that about you,
dude. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I read a book in another book, Neil Donald Walsh. One of the ways God communicates with us is through feelings.
Yeah.
So I don't fucking deny my feelings anymore. If I fucking, dude, I sit there on the couch and I cry to every Disney movie there is with my children, and I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? Because that's what life today. I define meaning in everything.
Yeah.
Like it's just that's what I'm here for. And so so I'm a crier. It just is what it is.
I can't cry. I've cried twice in the last 2 years, but like I just can't. And there's times I'm like trying to push it out and I just can't do it. I recently, like last summer, I had a friend died, real close friend to me, and I was so upset about it. And I don't know. I don't know if it's just like comes with time or something like that, being in touch
You're
with
a crier too. Don't be acting like you. Right?
I'm a big crier.
Yeah. But
I love crying. It feels good. It feels good. I love to get it out. This Is Us. That's why I love that show. No show. There hasn't been a show that made me cry harder than
This Is Us. I cry. The Voice. I cry.
Oh yeah.
Moving people. Or I can smell a fake a mile away. If you're like trying to put on a show of like, feel bad for me because this circumstance happened, I like reject it instantly if you're like looking for pity.
Those
like,
aren't real tears.
I mean, I don't fucking vote anyways, but it's like, you're not getting my fucking vote. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Get the fuck out of here with that shit. But even for them, even the people that are doing that, it's a defense mechanism. It's ego. They're putting up walls because they feel insecure. So let me tell you, it's just so weird when you think about it. You can tell when someone's being authentic and when someone's not, you know? And so like you watch The Voice and you'll see people who are authentic and you just connect with them instantly. Yeah. And then you see people who they're not being authentic because they're putting up walls. They don't feel safe.
Facade.
Well, they don't feel safe. You know what I mean? It's just that simple. So, you know, the kid, have you seen the new kid on The Voice? The kid from Hawaii? What's his name?
I haven't been watching this season.
Oh, dude,
I wait till it finishes and then I watch the whole thing in one
Dude,
way.
there's this kid from Hawaii. His name is Thunderstorm. Dude, his name's Thunderstorm. The kid is, dude, he's got a beautiful fucking spirit, a fucking crazy voice. He's going to win, but the kid just can authentically be himself, and it's just so refreshing to watch. And This Is Us. I named my son Jack after Jack of This Is Us.
No.
Not Jack Canfield. I did not name my son after Jack Canfield. I named him after Jack of This Is Us because, dude, I fell in love with my wife watching This Is Us. She was fucking cold as fucking Elsa, dude. She's like goddamn iceberg. Fucking no feeling, you know? And then we watched This Is Us and like she cried. You know what I mean? We connected and she cried. And now she's like a big baby, you know?
Yeah.
Dude, I was fucking crying in her fucking bed like fucking 2 months in because she fucking triggered so much abandonment and fear in me. Dude, she'd wake up in the middle of the night, it'd be like 2 o'clock in the morning. I'd be like, she'd be like, are you fucking crying? I'd be like, no.
Yeah.
She'd be like, yes, you fucking are. And it was like, because I couldn't help it, dude. Because again, when you talk about like, you know, taking risk, fucking getting a relationship, fall in love with someone when you've been abandoned your whole fucking life and see what happens. And try not to be a fucking jealous, controlling fucking maniac like I was my whole life.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, again, risks, levels, level up. You know what I mean? Level up. And so, yeah, I would agree with you. I'm just trying to authentically be my best self. And some people will appreciate that. And some people will think, shut the fuck up, kid. You know what I mean? Please. And I get it. I agree with you. I don't shut the fuck up. You know?
But then again, when at the end of the day, you're being your authentic self, and for me, that's like that's the goal.
Success.
And when you start to look around and who's still here, and then you're like, okay, at least I know you're still here, with me showing you who I truly am. You know what I mean? And that means more to me than me putting on a certain doing a certain dance to make sure that you stay, and to be your authentic self in any type of relationship, business, professional. I mean, a regular relationship, business relationship, a friendship. If your authenticity is being accepted and people are still around you, then that's the ultimate goal. Yeah. And I truly believe that the more authentic you are, the more you draw in other authentic people that make you even more comfortable about being who and what you are. And that's why I value the relationships that I have today. They're based off that. They have to be. Otherwise, I don't flourish within them. I need to be able to flourish within the relationships that I have to continue to grow, especially because I'm constantly evolving and changing. You know, I'm crazy Chris. You know what I mean? Like fucking with these crazy ideas. And you're definitely crazy Justin. Yeah. You know what I mean? Sometimes you're more crazy than I am. Sometimes I'm more crazy than you. But it's a part of our journey. You know, it's like we get fixated on something and we're all in, or we get fixated on something and we're diving even more deeper into it. Like whatever journey that we go into, we love hard and we dive into these journeys, fucking no parachute, skydiving, you know, and like we take our bumps and bruises, but we continue to go and we value the lesson within all of it. And then we like to share it, and we like to share our experience, and we like to share our pain. We like to, and it's all part of who and what we are. And I love that, and I believe in that. But to wrap this podcast, the last podcast I asked about giving advice to the younger version of yourself, and I like that question. But success or giving Justin advice, let's just go back 5 years ago. What would you give you for advice prior to, if you could go back and give you advice 5 years ago, what would that advice be?
5 years ago? I mean, 5 years ago is...
You could go back 10.
Yeah, if I went back, 10 would be easier than 5.
So go back 10 years.
Because I've been going... The last 5 years, I've been going pretty deep, to be honest. I've been cutting deep. 10 years ago, I would have told myself to work on healing and not so much fixing, because I was creating this fucking person that I wanted to be. And, you know, it took me years to do that. And I got to the place where, like, I thought I was who I wanted to be. And then I realized I was still broken. And so for me, like, the healing journey that I've been on in the last, you know, however many years, and I feel like everybody's got some shit to heal from at the end of the day. There's nobody on this earth that isn't here to, you know, embrace yourself, know yourself. But in order to know yourself, you need to, like, go within. You need to, like, you know, deeply explore. And so society doesn't teach us that, just to be clear. Society doesn't teach you to feel how you feel, to express your feelings, to talk about what's going on, to heal, to go to deep breathwork sessions, to go to spiritual healers. You know what I mean? They don't teach you that. To talk to channelers who talk to fucking, you know, I mean, I'm into all kinds of crazy shit at this point. Literally all kinds of crazy shit. Astrology, you know what I mean? All honky wonky stupid shit, bullshit. They've been teaching this shit for thousands and thousands of years. Ronald Reagan, I heard the other day, Ronald Reagan had 12 astrologers on his staff. Because it's like, I don't want to get into conspiracy fucking here, but I'm serious. Anything that fucking lights you up, dude, anything that gives you direction on shining. Because in the spiritual world, they teach you, you're here to know yourself. That's actually priority number one, is knowing yourself. And the more you know yourself and the more you can shine your light, you'll help others to feel safe enough to shine theirs. And so a lot of the times we're in this fucking ego competition of like, you know, even if I speak of myself 10 years ago, I mean, I was speaking on fucking podiums and, you know what I mean, Mr. fucking Recovery. But at the same note, I was like, I wasn't authentically, freely being able to be myself. Like, you know, Chris meets me and thinks this guy doesn't like me. Mm-hmm. And so I was lost, to be honest. You know what I mean? And so I could share this great fucking message about, you know, this is what success looks like. And I had become successful externally. And so I painted the picture of success. But the truth was I still had a lot of work to do within. And so 10 years ago, I would have told myself, go deeper. To be honest, meditation for me has been a journey within, because I'm listening. And I don't listen, I talk a lot.
So do I. So do I. I actually turned, I talked less because you were on today, because I wanted to give you the opportunity. But Chris, I asked you got that question last week, so I'll ask you a different question, and maybe I'll answer the same question. Things that like insecurities that you struggle with that you wish that you could change right now, that are inhibiting you from moving forward in areas that you want to move forward in.
Oh man, I mean, fear is always like been in my life, but like fear of like failure, right? And you kind of touched upon it tonight that like it might not be failure, it's bumps, but you can take a learning, like there's a lesson we learn from everything, right? I think that's one of my things, and maybe not trusting people enough, because I trust a certain amount of people, but I don't know why. I just I have a difficult time, like everyone that comes into my life. Maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's like a defense mechanism, but like not trusting enough in other people. Maybe I don't know. Not being afraid, not living in fear anymore. Like that could just sum it all up, you know. Because fear is dictating my life, my whole entire life. Fear of success, fear of failure, everything like that. And it's played into, you know, me being clean after 12 years and everything, or 12 years of drug use. And now it's like time where it's like, all right, I have some time under my belt. I have, you know, these things back. But now it's like, what am I going to do with it? Am I going to fall into that routine and scare myself into just getting into that routine, or am I going to take chances on myself? Because for the first time in 12 years, probably my whole life, I actually believe that like I can do something and do something positive, not just with myself, but with other people. So am I going to, you know, fall in line like everyone else, or am I going to, you know, be someone to like take the risk and try to make it succeed?
Yeah. Same question for me. Insecurities that prohibit me. I mean, this is walking through one of them right now, doing this podcast. You know what I mean? Like putting yourself out there and allowing yourself to be vulnerable. Anytime you put yourself in a position where you can be judged is like a scary position to be in. That's why you get nervous. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's why I get nervous. That's why it took me a while to do something like that. So it's just like to continue to put yourself out there. Like for me, talking to me, like if like my inner observer is very bold as far as like living in the shadows, like in business. Like I'm very good at like the helping people, all that stuff. I don't talk about what I do. You to the extent of what I do, or I'm very uncomfortable like when it comes to like even receiving positive reinforcement. You know, when people praise me for anything, I don't like it. You joked about it. Michelle joked about it. Whenever you guys text me something nice or something appreciative, I have to like say something funny back. It makes me extremely uncomfortable. And like this whole thing, like even us posting the first video, I had an anxiety posting the first video and even the second video, and I'll have anxiety posting this. And it's just a matter of like, did I say something fucked up, or was it a side nose shot the whole time?
Yeah.
Did they see the pimple that I have going on? Like all this shit, or is someone gonna be offended by what I say, or did I say enough? Did I allow whatever the fuck it is? It's like, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. It doesn't matter. And like get into that like mindset, and I, as confident as I am with other things, I mean, it's still something that I know that I struggle with, you know. And it's like, I know I have a lot to offer, and when I simplify it in terms of why I wanted to do this, it was to give the opportunity for people like you, like Justin, and the other guests who are inspiring, and even my story, and have an opportunity for people to hear it. If it could trigger something in somebody to like do something positive, or to even change their mindset a little bit, that's why I want to do it. It's never been about like anything beyond that, and I get lost in the whole, if I post it, do I sound stupid and all? It's like, who gives a fuck? I sound stupid most of it. It's like, I talk in front of my friends. They roast me every 5 minutes. I mean, we roast each other every 5 minutes. And then I'm just giving other people the opportunity to roast me. And it's like, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I don't give a fuck when you guys do it. I just got to get past that mindset. So that's an insecurity. And another one is when I get that intuition, right? What I want to work on is I've cautiously, I just see like Justin again inspiring me. Like, you've doubled and tripled down, and Gary Vee talks about this. Don't focus, like, don't try to get good at all these other things. Take what you're good at and double and triple down on that. And it's time for me to double and triple down on the things that I'm good at. You know, I've tried to spread myself into a lot of different things, and trying to learn different things in different aspects. When it comes down to it, what I'm good at is what I'm good at, you know, and I'm just, it's time for me to go full-fledged, and this is a part of it. You know what I mean? Like, this is a part of it. My gift that God's given me, I truly believe, is human to human connection, and to pull to get inspired and to inspire, and whether it's on a one-on-one, whether it happens through this podcast, even if it doesn't, but I know that when I have the opportunity to be one-on-one with another human being, the way that I was spoken to when I was frail and nervous and broken, and someone breathed inspiration inside of me, like I'm very good at that on a human to human level, and I want to continue to double and triple down on that, and continue to like work on that, and to not let my inhibit me from doing these things, because I'm worried about perception, you know, and worried about like fear of all the fucking bullshit outside stuff. So yeah, I mean, this has been a good podcast. Justin, thank you for coming on. You're never coming on again, because that was the least I've talked in a podcast.
How dare you?
This is my podcast, actually. What you're talking about.
I'm pretty sure
Chris, you're fired.
I'm pretty sure that's what
I'm
happened.
thinking about replacing you too, because I don't have enough time to fucking really speak. These guys are inhibiting my fucking flow. So be on the lookout for the next SomeBuddies podcast with Justin Etling.
Justin Etling.
I like